guys. All right. 1.5 is actually out for Empyrion Galactic Survival. And if you don't know, that's because apparently they don't decide to put announcements in their announcements section. Or make the for easy to... Don't even get me started, alright? But 1.5 is out. It is downloadable. It is playable. It is finally released. And we do think we have the patch notes. Moving along. They really need to take some... Believe it or not, they need to take some pointers from Star Citizen. Because people comment about how Star Citizen really doesn't let people know what's going on. These guys are far, far worse. But regardless, let's jump into it. So, 1.5 public release, as we detail in announcements in the blog post. This is a code-heavy release, but it has a lot of nice additions to offer for builders, explorers, mission runners, and beyond. So, mandatory maintenance. Due to changes in the game config, additions changes, everyone using custom config files, which is obviously my mod that I've done, locally or for published scenarios, needs to update their custom files to these changes. I'm going to have to rewrite my mod. So that's going to be a pain in the butt. Important scenarios. Local versions of the item configs require at least the settings of the following entry to be added, otherwise the scenario might not start. So you need to add item number 549, which is a melee hunter. So, changelog. AI changes. So update temperate starter now uses AI for raptors, alien insects, and pressure. I'm not sure what that is. We'll find out. Plus new behavior for alien creatures in radiated and radiated fog biomes. New start. Escape pod now lands automatically. You can still look around. I eventually noticed this was coming in because a few of my scenarios that I was developing actually did this. So item and devices removed from escape pod and player inventory. Survival tool flashlights are dropped around the escape pod. So as soon as you land, look for your flashlight and your survival tool and stuff because they'll be on the ground. Added skippable tutorial missions for Robinson Protocol 1 and 2. Auto reactivating on game start, helping new players to learn basic survival and building mechanics. Global changes on game start and release settings. Escape pod can be landed automatically in the playfield.static YAML file. Fixed player start selection. Uses new particle and impact effects as well. When I was landing on the temperate planet in the experimental branch, I noticed there was fire and smoke and everything coming out of the engine. So it looked pretty cool. So, global changes. Yeah, okay. So items can now be set to drop around the escape pod in the player static YAML fixed player start section. We removed player ability to sleep in the escape pod. Survival tent or beds can now be used for sleeping at any time of the day, so it doesn't have to be nighttime. Survival tool automatically picks up mined ores to the player inventory, which is really, really good. No more do you have to mine something and then pick it up. It'll automatically go into your inventory. Unless it's full, then it'll drop on the ground. So survival tool resources mode can harvest plants and trees for fiber and wood. You remember it used to be on defense, now it's on harvest, which is really cool. And logs before function was tied to defense mode. Cool. Yep. So weapon reworks. The new models for the pistols, assault rifles, and shotguns is here on the screen, and they look pretty cool, must admit. PDA additions. PDA added optional and ordered actions. PDA removed cannot activate chapter because message was not activable chapter with chapter activation set up. Added PDA player field obstruct power. I don't know what that is. We'll find out. PDA UI improved order action text by showing the arrow or the greater than character next to the checkbox. Not fixed on left hand side before. PDA clear chapter number now also removes chapter from the reward chapters. Oh, that's mostly for us game modders and stuff like that, I presume. Fraction, added Brotherhood of Far, POIs and vessels, initial migration More BTD, thanks a lot to the builders, plus Spange. Obviously, Brother of Far was Spange's scenario that he put, his fraction that he was building. Added Far Homeworld, added interesting planets, areas, deserts, a main interest world, large settlements, presence, temperate plateau, temperate swamps, barren near secondary invented worlds, like presence. Right. Changed auto reconfig naming of the initial folder of the NPC's faction homeworld and related to playfields. Updated the playfield example files with info about the new parameter for faction territory. Added faction territories list of string to player field YAML and space dynamic YAML to allow a list of faction territories a POI can spawn in. I like that. Allowing a list of faction territories a POI can spawn in. I like that a lot. It's going to make my job a lot easier. Changed legacy laser turrets, changed to proper green variant, which is turret alien. Added new turret color and projectile variants for the NPC fractions diversification. Added posters now available at the Ging store, available at each Ging coordinate and trading stations and alike. Story missions. The story added Tales of the Past, a new task locations dialogue. Story added Crashed Birds, formerly Human Remains, with new story elements, direction and tasks. Story added Totally Overpowered, changed the mission start. Updated a Glacier Grave, formerly Offworld Grave, with certain details about bug fixing. Updated Ancient Revelations, added proper guiding to the mission. Updated POIs to make it easier to navigate. Nerfed the enemy count a bit. So they dropped them down a bit. Story added uncertain outcomes, small task flow changes. Story missions are now spreadable over this data system. Story updated story chapter 1 to 6 PDA F1. Detailed information within on how to proceed. Clarification update info given. Changed Sigma from Frogman. Approach dialogue, new points towards speaking to traders instead of barkeepers. Only speaking to travelers will advance the search for Yerod. Sigma Falcon mission station is now civilian, and all NPCs with guns will now shoot at you. Easier to identify the threats. Plus, accidentally shooting on other NPCs does not lead to the station turning against you anymore. Station is now civilian, and all NPCs with guns will shoot at you. Okay. Sigma Falcon Station now has Ging console. Being neutral ground, there is now a way to turn credible seals at any time at the FP station. FP station. Updated story POI. Lemurian Frogman. Thanks to Ravian and Eskar. Updated story POI on Adrid and Snowstarter. Please restart story chapters 1 and 2 on these. So for POIs, they added Far Temple of Prime and Far Crash Site to the Far Homeworld. They added satellites. Ooh. I like that. Me likey, mate. Me likey, because I needed that. Deep Space Telescope. NavSat 17, thanks to Donkey 7, and Avria Banshee. Added UCH Trading Station, Pora Station, thanks to Donkey and Abrevia. Yep. Added Tribal Defense Tower for Talon, thanks to Vermilion. Added around Tribal Zeragast. Added Colonists OPV, JLN Mac Cargo, thanks to BT Buddha. Updated Tribal Xangast, Talon, Zurich Spaceport, Starter and normal version. Theatre Labs adjacent starter version, thanks to Vermilion. Added Colonist Trading Station, thanks to Jupiter Vehicle Corp. Added Abandoned Bunker, Vermilion, Far HQ, Sparge. Updated Solar Plant with Pirates, thanks to Subcore. Added Com, Exploration and Spy Satellites. Added Colonists Legionnaire, Polar Outposts and Pyro Crepes Labs, thanks to Banshee and Booker. Added UCH trading stations, thanks to Banshee. Added pirate satellite uplink stations and water purification plants. Odishay and updated by Sokor. Changed trading stations, planet and space, are now set to regenerate. Added Tech Tracker, POV, and Planetoid Defense, BAO, thanks to Esker. Added tugboats to junkyards, asteroid fields. I've noticed the tugboats actually, they're kind of cool actually. Added more OPV and POIs to Brotherhood of Far, plus some updates. Added Tressa Orbital Defense and Sarah Ground Defense. Updated the Abandoned DOJ, thanks to Vermilion. Added Brotherhood of the Far, Drone Base, Castle of Far. Updated Bank of Far, thanks to Donkey, Stamps, and Goodwin. Added Pirates Orbital Bar and Bases, Type 101, thanks to Suckador. Added various comms, mills, science satellites, thanks to those people, which is Darkwood, Donkey, and Subcar. Added UCH Jason's Hope, thanks to Banshee. Added Warlord OPV, which is Hublight, and yep. Added Abyssal POI, which is Resource Nexus Floating Defense T3. They've also added Pirates POI, which is Hypercity and the Solar Plant. They've also added Tech OPV, POI Defense T1 and Utilities 56. Thanks to contributors, Hacker and Driven, just a whole bunch of stuff really. Thanks to added base Starcore Blast. Added Sandcrawler Blaze. They've added Magpie. They've added Tessa Fraction. They've added OPV Rotoville. They've added OPV Advanced Vector. They've updated the Epsilon Hangar and the Suri Defense. They've updated the Krill Super Juggernaut. They've added the Legacy. They've added new Tessa OP, which is a Spike. They've added the new Warlord PVO, which is Internal Torment. They've added Abandoned DOJO. They've added Krill Nexus. They've set a new set of Epsilon to POIs. Added OPVs, which is Velcron Cruiser, Pirates, stuff like that. They've updated Small Settlement Talons with new POI spawners. They've updated the POIs to updates on test scenario. They've updated the Warlord Trench Pirate Fraction. They've added several pirate POVs. They've fixed the blueprint prefabs, DD, Locrum, and bases. They've removed Abyssal Small Science Vessel from the spawnable groups for now. Well, it's a shame. They've added the Gale Subfraction PV and BAOs. They've added Eagle Claw Outpost. They've added Trench Orbital Defense. They've added Arc Splinter and Planetary Defense. They've added Stock Blueprint T2 Rocket Tank. They've updated Quinn Massacre and Deadman's Pirates OPV. They've updated Zenix Force P1 for having signal logic and destroying the admin core. They've updated the Krill Super Juggernaut, and they've added the stock blueprints, which is the Blue Dart, the TR, HVTLA, a whole bunch of stuff. Right. Oh boy, there's a lot. So, models and devices, they've added separate glass material copies for use of heavy windows, assigned them to the new heavy windows, changed the inventory inside window, opacity to make it more transparent, and they've added Talon Charge laser crossbow. They've added non-device player spawnable for the BA POIs, has no model so it can be fit wherever you want, preview like it for an NPC spawner. Added heavy windows. They've added toilets, which is a modern, which I've seen in the experimental, which is pretty cool. Shields can now be active again when warping. And they've changed the reduced range of their handheld detector to 650 meters or 1,250 meters, depending if it's space. So, Invader and Defender update. They've merged dialogues with single player, merged token config with the default single player, merged trader NPC config with the single player, added reputation matrix to the def representation, removed the default PDA pictures, the set sun and sun random in sectors. They've added PDAs, new entries about the game, updated many space playfields to the new VI vehicle and drone config, reworked the black hole from the fixed gen to the random gen, added Estrium resources to the terrain. They've also gone through and reworked a pole for the fixed generation to random generation. They've also reworked the Alon sector from the fixed gen to the random gen. They've removed the grass gen O2D from playfields due to grass version 2. And they've added containers, and they've also added credible sales, a very low drop to some NPCs due to not having default single player mission. Dialogues. Single players mode protect player while dialogue window is now open by deactivating and pushing forward in the game mechanics. Player status drop, food health, environmental hazards, timed affliction, AIs, NPC creatures, turrets don't attack. Added block config dialogue documentation about using skills in dialogues. They've added block config parameters. They've added dialogue function. They've dialogue system added open device, and dialogue system added whatever that is. Console and configs. So they've added property repair to template to block config to allow excluding rare or special blocks from repairing to template to avoid exploits. They've added status effect, which with new parameters, next is worse for status effect to get worse. Added file name to error message if the space dynamic YAML has a syntax error. Console command destroy, add dead or -dead as a second parameter to show death model. If not specified, the entry will be removed immediately. Added possibility to load a player field from the scenario using console commands. Okay. Added block config and items config inline doc about the new parameters. So shield multiplier and weapons damage in general. Added set-aside and anti-cheat feature, short session monitoring. This is the configurable and dedicated YAML under the server config. Solar system and PV playfields. Please let me put solar on my ships. Playfield YAML added property allowing save blueprints default true to disallow saving of blueprints in playfield. Solar system, it's not going to do solar power, is it? Solar system gen added possibility to have solar system with 2 stars. Oh, I like that. Second star only decoration by specifying a companion star class. We'll have to put that in the mod. Solar name generation space added the possibility of a specific of a group name for space dynamic POIs instead of only using POIs list. Added entity generic to allow specific decoration entities, FA gas clouds in space fields. Oh, like that. Also for modders, it will post information on how to use it as seen in the forums. I like that. Added show in distance and LOD distance to playfield YAML and dynamic space YAML to allow drawing decorations entities in the distance as well. More information coming soon. Thank God for that, because I noticed some of the things that we were building were too big and the LODs weren't loading right properly. We were trying to build a really, really big space hangar, and that was housing the ship. And because the hangar was so big, you couldn't see the end of it because the end of it wasn't loading because it was too big. So updated example of new settings for the AI space vehicle avoiding area config. Planets without atmosphere now use the same sun color as its orbital. Planets outside view, importance for sharper visuals of a moon. Grass, if X scale is specified, the ZX scale is now used the exact same scaling. Set splat map stamps and TGA format to not compress the alternative TGA loader. Once it that way, added PF serve weight to Space Dynamic. Modding. Added IMOD API.application, get block and item mob, returns indicted the name to ID mapping. Oh, wow, okay, I have no idea what that means. Now supports negative logic for enabling. I have no idea what that is. We'll keep moving. Miscellaneous. Added example files on how to use solar config defines. Added small optimization for the wipe info file. Added better error messaging when there's an entry named wrong in the groups. Thank God. The generic errors were kind of frustrating. PDA for mission creators. When logistic windows are full or OTank is opened in the right grid of the PDA, can now check for window opened and use the same. Okay. Added drop on death property to block configs, item configs, and token configs. If set to false, then the item was not dropped on player death. Added new loading screen shots, removed old ones, plus added new loading screen texts. New model for color text tool. Added loading screen descriptions, dialogue system. So they added open device ports to get the block position. They've updated the stock blueprints, on those were mentioned before. Changed the SV Prefer T5C, renamed to the Manta dropship. Changed the SV Preferred T6, rename to Revelation Overture 1. HV Tier 3, renamed to Walker. HV Preferred T1A, renamed to the Blue Mist. Changed HV Prefer 6, which is the Boxer Tank. HV Preferred 6B, which is renamed to the UCH Sentinel. HV Preferred 06, renamed to the Desert Cat. Changed Crash Birds, reduced the detection distance for triggering the command. Changed the Crash Birds, reduced the distance, triggering distance for the command cover. Updated information, added information about the new parameters, drop on death. Changed, removed the minigun, rocket drones, and raptors from the standalone tutorial scenario. Changed the Sanctuary starter planet, swapped trade perjury to back ramps plus flamethrower fuel. They changed the trading station, starter system, Inferno Club to TOP Distillery, changed to Colonist Fraction. Changed the escape alternatives in UHC Heidelberg update. And the dialogue added workaround for Stranger Compiler to use in the same cases. So for fixes, and the last thing, fixes, they exception when using projectiles loaded from an assault bundle, returning to main menu and resuming the game. Small fix to thruster particles so that particles do not stop from time to time without reason. I noticed that. Mounted weapons exploit. They fixed the resource asteroid being transparent. They fixed credibility missions could not be completed through destroyed cores were uncounted. They fixed the box map.dat was not written in multiplayer games, leading the problems if the order of blocks have no ID. The block config change. Possible fix for temp allocations. Warning message. Fixed for harvesting is not pushing items directly into inventory. Fixed ambassador vessel did not spawn in asteroid field. Fixed for being able to use proximity log and button registry. They also went SSG fixed COG when the new resources aluminium and ice and platinum were used. Thruster blocks now have no shadows. They also fixed the model crosshairs bundle not getting loaded if the vanilla game was loaded before. Fixed Sigma Falcon hostile troops now are using Warlord Fraction instead of Alien. The console commands are small fix when used in game. Items crafted in the survival constructor don't get stacked in the output cells. They fixed issues with the dialogue from the Geoloca. They fixed Sigma Falcon. Hostile troops are now using Warlord faction instead of Alien. Okay, they wrote that twice, I think. Fixed issues of dialogue from German. Loca sometimes lending a COG exploitation. Fixed thruster. Medium tier 2 only had 100 health points. Fixed issues in dialogue config and CSV lending to COC, which is, I believe, cancel or quit. Fixed TSO variant 2 had alien spawners, now the same base. Potential fix modding AE API event player info, not sending ping information. Fixed explosive devices not giving damage to shields. And we're done. Look, at the end of the day, guys, it's quite a good patch. I just wish that they could be a little bit more transparent with their communication. But yeah, it's a decent patch, and I was playing it on experimental. I am going to start playing 1.5 now. I also do have to mod 1.5 to make it so that it is now compatible with my mod that I've got for Aurora Experiment. And we are still thinking about doing that machinima as well. So yeah, I have to wait for Vermilion and Raven to come out with Reforged Galaxies. And once that's done, then I can incorporate that into my mod and use that for the base. So they've put out a hot patch for theirs over the next day or two, I think it is. But I'll have to wait for them to put out their whole new system, which is later this month. So it won't be anytime soon. Apart from that, guys, let us know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. What are your thoughts on this patch? I like it. I like it a lot. I wish they would put more ships that are salvageable. I want more salvageable ships. But that's something I can add into the mod. Let us know what your thoughts are in that comment section below. Obviously, if this video has been helpful, please smack that like button. If you're new to the channel, welcome and subscribe. Apart from that, guys, I will see you playing Empyrion. The episodes will be going up, and they'll be like 40 minutes, like what Spange does. I'm just copying his format because it works. Love you, Spange. Apart from that, guys, have a great night, enjoy yourselves, and I'll see you playing Empyrion. Pew pew!